hand function if you have a question, and we will begin with questions. We'll start with Stephen.
Good afternoon, Laura. Thank you for taking time to talk with us. I want to ask, you've had time now to kind of review the tape from last game. Other than obviously finishing was a challenge, are there any other things that you kind of saw on second watch that you feel like were either positive or negative from that game that you want to work on going forward?
I think that's obviously the thing that stands out. I think when you create the chances that we did, in the manner that we did, I think it's always going to be the thing that sits with you the most. I think the field was difficult for us to play truly the way we like to play. And then match with Washington being pretty direct. I think that's something we have to expect off teams, that they're going to try and do that to us. But nothing that we hadn't seen really came out in film after the game. I think, I just think the chances that we created, I think that's a positive. I think, you're always more worried when you're not creating them. So it's definitely been a focus for this week.
Thanks, Stephen. And then next we have Taylor.
Hey, it's Laura. Nice to talk with you today. I was wondering if you could give any update on how the squad is doing health-wise. I know that Quinn was questionable last week, but she did travel with the team. Just wondering if you have any updates there.
No real changes, honestly. Everyone came on this trip. The whole team travelled because it was a 2-game trip. And people are progressing well. I think it's probably it's maybe too soon for the majority of them. I think we have maybe 2 that we have sort of last minute decisions to make. So no major update on that.
And then one other thing, as you entered, you were joking with Elise about a goal?
No, I was joking about her falling over. That's what I was joking about.
Okay.
She had a little fall in training today, which was highly amusing.
Can we hope that we get to see that footage someday, or is that...
No, I doubt it. I think it was only honestly me and Elise that saw it, so luckily for her, obviously I keep it to myself. It was a funny moment in the middle of our small-sided games today.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Taylor. And then we have Susie.
Thanks, Ryan. Laura, Gotham's a side that did a lot of rebuilding in the off-season and has a lot of new players, and obviously 1 game into the season, but got a pretty important come-from-behind win on the road. And I'm wondering just what are your kind of overall observations on what that team is trying to do and what makes them dangerous this year?
Yeah, a lot of change. I think obviously the coaching change as well. They look a lot like Houston did towards the back end of last season, just with different personalities on the field. I think their threats are that they can, counter-attack you quicker than most teams in this league. I think with Ali long back as well, I think they have someone who can dictate the game and the tempo of the game from midfield. I think they're the biggest things. Obviously got a really good result in LA. It's not an easy place to go to, so we're hoping that the field can be a little bit better than last week, so we can play a little bit of our game. But I actually think it suits them too to be able to play. So hopefully it's a little bit nicer on the eyes, because watching that Washington game back was painful.
Thanks, Susie. And then Steph, you can go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, Laura. So we just talked about Gotham, but Lynn Williams, obviously one of those rebuild players who was able to offer incredible pressure in a lot of places on the field, although last game it looked like she was really trying to pressure LA on the wings. You guys are a different team, but what has the discussion been like about, not letting yourselves essentially get pressed like that?
Honestly, we had it last week with Trinity too. I think that it's a fine line in how we play. We actually want pressure. We want people to come press us. And then we have to be willing to play through it. We have to be brave to be able to do that. Lynn is an excellent presser for sure. Midge did well at that too. So we're prepared for that, but we actually prefer that. We prefer teams to come and press us because it opens up space for people higher up the field. And yeah, I think Lynn hurt her arm in that game, and it looked like she was sort of playing with her arms, sort of. She didn't want to move it too much, so hoping that she's okay with that, but obviously did really well to get a goal. And I think that that's where they're probably the most dangerous in how Lynn scored is in that transitional moment, to be able to get you when you're out of shape. So I think it's sort of this fine balance. We want to play the way that we like to play, which is obviously very possession orientated, and we like to play through the thirds and get our, you know, quality players on the ball higher up the field. But to be able to do that, we need pressure from the opponent, and we need to be willing to play through it, which we did a good job of last week. It was a little bit different than what we would normally do. We had to sort of miss lines out a couple of times just because of the state of the field, but hoping tomorrow we can play through a little bit cleaner and the way that we want to.
Okay, just one follow-up. After the last game, Rose Lavelle said basically, sorry, I'm grumpy, like who wouldn't be after a result like that, but you just talked about wanting that pressure and finding it. I'm just wondering how much you look to Rose to be able to solve that and play the game that you guys like to play. And how much for that grumpiness is going to be good.
Yeah, I think obviously the result was frustrating for us. The result was the most frustrating for us, I think, last week, but a lot of things were frustrating. You know, I keep talking about the field. It's really difficult to go and play on something like that. And, you know, if we want our league to be the best, we've got to demand that those things are better. Not because it suits our team, but it just puts the product that we want to sell to everybody is one that people want to watch. And I don't care who you are, no one wanted to watch that. So I think that lent into her grumpiness a little bit. But is Rose someone who can solve pressure? Yes. Is she somebody that we need to get on the ball in areas that are going to hurt the opponent? Obviously, the more we can do that, the better. And I thought she did actually a decent job of it at times in the game last week when she got in those spots. The cross she made for Elise for the header as an example where, you know, she can turn a game on its head in an instant. So I don't mind Grumpy Rose because she always then wants to go out and prove people wrong. So I'll take a Grumpy Rose if it means we get a result tomorrow.
Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Seth. And then Theo, you can go ahead.
Hello, Laura. Wanted to know if you had a reaction to the UEFA Champions League quarterfinals this week. Your former club going back to the semi-finals for the first time since just after you were there, but obviously you went there as well. And any reactions to the La Drama chaos of last night as well?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see all the Arsenal game. I got to see maybe half of it, but like didn't see the start and didn't really see the end. I saw the middle. I thought they played some unreal stuff. And, you know, Arsenal's my team through and through, so I was really happy for them. I think putting on a show at the Emirates is always going to be huge, and getting back into the semi-final of the Champions League is where that club belongs, in my opinion. But I think obviously big games coming up for them in the league to make sure that they can get back there again, you know, next year, which is going to be huge. And then that game last night was like the epitome of heartbreak. I think Lyon showed unbelievable resilience to get to the point that they did, because I think early in the game Chelsea had chances to score and Endler literally stood on her head and got the ball smacked in it. And then, you know, it's just such a heartbreak at the end with obviously the penalty in the last kick of the game, and then penalty shootouts are always brutal, and obviously really felt for Lindsay, and I know she's a tough character and she'll get through it, but I'm sure she's feeling it today. But, you know, what an unbelievable product, and, you know, something that people can look at in the women's game, playing in the stadiums that they were played in, played with the quality that they were played at. The standard of football I thought was excellent. I didn't get to see the Barcelona game or the Wolfsburg game, but the two games that I did get to see were those two, and I thought that they were unbelievable shows of what women's football's about right now and where it's going. And I know that we don't get that sort of Champions League fever over here, but the games in this league tend to be so frantic and emotional at the levels that they were at watching our games too, because we can put on a show too.
Yes, thanks so much for your time, Laura.
Thanks, Theo, and then Peyton, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Laura. Just was wondering, looking over the stats from last weekend, Emily Sonic was at the top of a lot of figures and really touches overall in the game. She was right up there. I was wondering if she's going to be a lot more in that defensive midfield role after what you've seen as Quinn has been out, or when they come in, if you're looking to kind of jostle around that lineup and play with it some more.
We'll have to wait and see. We're not in a position where I've got to make that choice right now. But I thought Sonic did well. I think the great thing about Sonic is she came off really frustrated in her own performance on the things that she sort of prides herself on, even though she was involved in the game a lot. And I think that just shows the character that she is. It's one of the main reasons why we wanted to bring her to the club, because she's a proven winner and we need that in this team. So I think, will we keep Sonic as a midfielder? We'll see. I think she obviously has proven that she can do a job in this league in that position. Could Sonic and Quinn both play in midfield at the same time? Yes, quite easily. I think it gives us some unpredictability, but we also know Sonic can play anywhere along the back line as well. So just really happy that we have somebody that can play at the level she can play at in multiple positions and knows how to win in this league. And I think, it's a long season. It's a tiring season, and we're going to need all the flexibility that we have to be able to make sure that we can put on a show whenever we need to get the results that we need. And obviously the biggest chance that we've got is tomorrow to put the result right from last week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peyton. And that'll be it for questions. Thank you, Laura, for your time. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.